You play such an amazing character, and like this is the first time I've really watched it because I didn't watch the show. And you're so composed and you're so even keeled, and you appear like, hey, you are a good guy. And I really was believing, like, even though you came from the ship and everything, and I had my thoughts, but you convinced me otherwise that you were this.
Yeah.
You know, you were actually you were a Kryptonian, you were doing well, you were trying to help Clark. Maybe there's truth to this. And I bought it all.
My job, as I saw it, was to fool you, to lure you into thinking that I was really just going to be Clark's friend. You know, like, because the vicarious experience that storytelling gives the audience is everyone who watches Smallville is Clark. When I watch Smallville, I'm Clark. And if we can lure the audience behind the eyes of that character, we can provide them with the roller coaster and the journey.
Yeah.
So in the script, I'm betraying Clark Kent and then convincing him that I'm going to be a good force in his life. And so I've got to do that to the audience so that when I betray Clark, I'm betraying the audience. They're like, God, I trusted you, you bastard, you know, and you get that moment. And so that was kind of the whole thing.
This is something that I try to steal from you, and I learned from working with you. And I think I've said this to you before. I had so much fun working with you because you're so thoughtful in a scene, and you're pacing. You're not just getting the words out. You're not trying to get the scene over with. I think you're the one who told me there's only one way home and it's through this scene. I think you told me that. It was like we were at the university and we were kind of just like, what is all this? And you're like, hey man, there's only one way home and it's through this scene. And I've said that to a lot of other people since, but your performance is always so thoughtful. And there's points for your character where you're giving these, you know, soliloquies about history and everything, but you draw everybody right into it. Like, we want to listen to what you're saying because you're not rushing it through it. You're sharing it, and you're winning people over. And I always look forward to working with you. It was always fun. Yeah.
That was great. But I remember saying that because days filming, it's tough, man. What is 12 hours? And there's nothing about filming that helps an actor give a good performance.
No,
nothing. It's all in my way, you know, like I'd come from stage where every moment from the first rehearsal to final curtain is carefully calibrated so that the actor can give the best performance possible, because there's really nothing else but the actors. As long as you have the actors and you have enough light to see them, you can sell tickets. The set could not arrive. The costumes could have been lost, as long as that happens. So, but in film and television, it's all about how do you film it. I was working with a young actor. I had noticed that actors who really care and really want it to be good, they tend to get the most frustrated on set because of all of this stuff that's coming. Actors that really don't care so much, they're usually easier to work with in a way, you know? And I saw this young actor getting more and more frustrated. And I finally sat down with them and I said, hey, I'm thinking of being an acting teacher for film. They're like, oh, that would be a great idea. And I was like, yeah. And what I'm going to do in my class is I'm going to get my students in a close-up in a really emotional scene, and we're going to film it. And during that close-up, I'm going to throw popcorn at their face. And the person was like, that's just like today. I'm like, exactly, man. That's the job, is we have to be able to give performance when there's all of these things flying around and interrupting your thought process and stuff. But that is what we do. And so like that day, Tom, you know, it was probably a normal day when we're just like, oh man, really? They're going to do this? Okay. Wow. And so you just one way home, man. Just through the scene.
Did you have any awareness or preparation for Brainiac before playing him? Or if not, what was your inspiration like you brought for the role?
Yeah, at first I was really kind of trying to be thoughtful, as Tom said, you know. And I was like, well, how do you play a robot? And I was thinking about different android characters that I had enjoyed watching in the past, you know. And I'm like, well, should I be like Data on Star Trek, where he's fairly human, but you can tell he's also an android? There's a definite difference there. Should I try to be like Blade Runner, where the whole point is that there's no difference? And I thought, or there's an emotional immaturity to that that robot because they don't live long enough to grow up in Blade Runner. And I thought, no, wait a minute. This is a Kryptonian robot, and that's a very advanced civilization. So there would be no difference, no emotional, physical, anything. Just play it like a human being.
Yeah.
Don't just take all the whole robot thing and just push it to the side. And at that point, I'm like, oh, this is going to be easy. Damn, I don't even have to deal with any of that.
Yeah. It's amazing how when you're playing a role, if you like, even for Lex Luthor, it's like, I didn't watch the movies. I mean, I saw the movies, but I didn't really know a lot about Lex. And I just said, I'm going to be real and grounded and vulnerable. And that's it. I didn't think about what I'm supposed to do or how people want me to play it, and the social media wasn't there. So in a sense, you're just like, you commit to what you're doing and you bring to it what you want, and hoping that, hey, everybody responds to it. And, because there's certainly times when you're doing something and the director will go, okay, yeah, let's go away from that. Let's, work. And then it throws you and you have to kind of build a character from scratch on set in that moment at times. And so, it can be difficult, but I feel like if you just trust your gut and your instincts, and you have great instincts, that's a big part of it.
I remember watching your guys' pilot in the first couple episodes. And I was just like, this is the first Lex Luthor that's not in some way winking to the audience going, I know he's evil too.
Yeah, I didn't want to do that.
Even Gene Hackman, I'm sorry to bring up another Lex Luthor, he was amazing, but he was telegraphing the entire time, I am evil, I am evil, I am evil.
Well, I was just thinking, as Mike was talking, that one of the things the show did with Brainiac, that you did with the show, is they didn't do this, hey, Clark, I'm here to help you. Let's go find your mother. Clark says, okay. And then there wasn't a moment where you were like,
exactly.
Because that would have ruined it. It would have ruined it. Yeah.
Exactly. I think that the script writers were on the same thing. Let's betray the audience.